Good evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Woodbridge for April 8th, 2015. And before we turn to our agenda, I'd like to just take a moment to say that one of our selectmen has chosen to spend his birthday with us tonight. Wow. So thank you, Joe, and very happy birthday. You are very happy birthday. We'll try to keep the meeting short so you can go home and celebrate. Turning out
I have to go home.
Yeah. no, Joe.
She's rolling.
Right.
It's your choice.
Maybe we'll go somewhere with you, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll now go to the first item on the agenda, which is to meet and welcome our new library director, Eric Worthman. And Eric is here with our chair of the Library Commission, Jeanette Glicksman, who will introduce Eric. And we'd like to say hello to both of you.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. This is a pleasure. This is a real pleasure to be here tonight and to introduce Eric Worthman, our new library director. Eric comes to us from a suburban Chicago library, much the same as ours, a little bit bigger budget, but the same size staff. And Eric is a native to Connecticut, born and bred here, and was looking to relocate with his wife back to Connecticut. So this is Eric. And Eric, do you have anything you'd like to share in your 3 days experience?
Sure. Yeah, I would like to thank Jeanette and the rest of the Library Commission for giving me this opportunity. It's great to be back in Connecticut. And so far it's been great to work for the Woodbridge Town Library. The staff has been great. The staff in the town seems great. All the patrons seems great. And it seems like a wonderful library, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure it stays wonderful, and that we'll continue to try to do innovative things and to be a great center for the town.
Terrific.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Great.
Are there any
I
questions?
have no questions. I just want to comment about something. I have a friend who called the library the other day and said, this wonderful man answered the phone and helped me, and then he said he was the new library director, so
Okay.
good job.
Good. Okay. I'm glad.
I also had a
Gets back
story
to
from a
us.
friend who said that
It gets
too.
back to us very
There will-
quickly. So.
Yeah, there'll be another test tomorrow. And
Has anything struck
Very
you
nice.
as different I mean, 3 days is not very much, but any first impressions?
Wow. I mean, in general, obviously, again, the staff. I really am so happy to be able to work with the staff at the library. Everyone seems to be really dedicated and to really do a good job, including Catherine, who's sitting right there. And so that has been wonderful. And of course, it does seem like it's a really heavily used library, and that's nice too. That it seems like people really are invested in it in the community, which I love.
Yes, we all do. So thank you. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Well, welcome, and thank you for coming by
Thank you
this
very
evening.
much.
Thank you.
And the next item, we're staying on the library theme, is Catherine Ward, the program director from the library.
Well, I'm so glad to be here tonight and share more great news about the library. We're happy to announce the initiation of our first town-wide reading program, Woodbridge Reads One Town, One Book. And this type of program was originally started in Seattle in 1998. It was called If All Seattle Read the Same Book, and the purpose of it is to have everyone in town read the same book and bring them together through different types of events, such as book discussions, lectures, and other related programs to share in the experience of reading. The title that we've chosen for this read is Animal Vegetable Miracle, A Year of Food Life by Barbara Kingsolver. And it's part memoir, part investigative journalism, and talks about the year that her and her family spent moving to a farm in Virginia, and they vowed to eat only food that they grew themselves or food that they acquired locally from their neighborhood. So we thought this would be a great title for Woodbridge with our farming history and all of the local farmers that we have in the area. We're planning several events around this, and we plan to kick off on June 1st and go until July 31st. Some events that we've already booked include a cooking demonstration, including recipes from the book with a local food blogger, a lecture by local author Anthony Riccio, who talks about farms, factories, and families, and he even interviews some women who were farmers in Woodbridge in the 1920s, so he will be highlighting that. We also are having a natural living workshop. We have a book discussion with Senior Associate Dean of Yale College, Mark Schenker. We have a local beekeeper coming to do a demonstration, and we think the book will also tie in well with our farmers market, which is debuting for its second year on June 24th. Our farmers market will run bi-weekly this year, and it will run from 4 to 7 p.m. on the library grounds. This year, we're also looking to tie in some children's events, and we're going to be doing story times related to it and have several programs at the market, including a local llama raiser who will be bringing a llama and a touch tank for kids. We're happy to have Massaro Farm back at the farmers market and to welcome Gentle Giant Farm of Bethany and Hamden. And we're looking to bring a more diverse set of vendors to the market, including a meat and dairy producer and some craft vendors. So the market will be growing. And we think these two events will tie in beautifully together and really create a sense of community in the town.
Thank you, Catherine. That's terrific. I did want to mention that we also discussed engaging some of our youth and children in the program, whether it's with the same book or different books. Do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Yes, I'm currently working with the children's librarian to create a bibliography of related books for children on gardening, healthy living, and other books related to the themes in Animal Vegetable Miracle. So we will be reaching out to the local schools to give them a copy so that children who want to participate are able to read books on a similar subject and participate as well.
Well, it's a wonderful project. Any questions or comments for
Who's
Catherine?
the author of the book?
Barbara Kingsolver.
Thank you.
And when you'll have several copies, many copies available at the library, is that right?
Yes, starting May 1st, we'll have several copies available for checkout.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Next on the agenda is our town clerk. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's Dr. Stella. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dr. Stella.
Thank you. I'm just copying the title down. I
I'm
have to get it more. Sounds like a good one. Good evening and thank you. We love our partnership with the Woodbridge Public Library. So, Eric, you landed in a good place, and we look forward to working with you, having you over at Beecher Road School, and continuing our partnership with you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start by saying I try my best to get to as many community events as possible. On March 28th, I had the pleasure of attending the Eva Block Fire Prevention Day at the firehouse and saw many Beecher Road School families as well as community members there. It was a day of fun, real community fun, but also lots of learning. I was very impressed. No matter how small the child or how big the adult or old the adult, we all learned something that day. And another sign of what a wonderful place Woodbridge is, and what a sense of community that exists here. Talking about community, there are several events that are happening at Beecher Road School, and anything we do is open to the community. This week there's the book fair, the annual PTO Spring Book Fair, and that's a time of the North Chim is just filled with a joy and a special magic as you see class upon class of children going and choosing from what seems like thousands of books, hundreds of books. Tonight is a family night, and it's open to Beecher Road School families, but also the entire community. So I'm going to try to get over there afterwards. If you're meeting early, come on over and join us too. Our student council will be doing some fundraising for a worthy cause. They have a sponsored child in Bolivia, so they'll be doing selling some food over there and fundraising. But it's a good community event. Another community event is the arts are so important at Beecher Road School. They always have been over the decades, and drama is an important part of what we do. So the book fair has the theme The Wizard of Oz, and of course the play that will be put on by our drama club is The Wizard of Oz. And one performance will be tomorrow at 4:15 and another on Friday at 6:30. We expect a packed house. I went to see Tarzan, as many of you did, at Amity. It was a packed house there, and we saw, among others, some of our former students there. So elementary school is the beginning of that too, so we look forward to it. I'm happy to say that At this point, anyway, the building upgrade is on schedule. We anticipate that it would be completed by December 2015. During this spring break, there'll be lots of construction, and thank you for your cooperation, Town and Town Building Committee. We've tried not to interrupt the education at Beecher Road School, and we've been very fortunate that way. During the spring break, starting April 20th, there'll be a lot of construction that week. The new Sally Port, for example, will be put in. That's a third set of doors and a portal. And our parent community, we reach out to them and saying that there'll be some procedures as far as check-in and so on to provide tighter security for our children. But we never want any parent to feel that they're not welcome at Beecher Road School. The security is for the safety of our children, but we are still and will always be a community school. The summertime, we anticipate, of course, lots of work. Our last day for staff is the 23rd. The last day for children is the 19th. So the day after, as soon as everyone leaves, the school will become a major construction zone. There will be no programs at the school. And again, we thank Amity High School. We will bring several of our programs over there with Dr. Dumay's support. And Ezra Academy, again, graciously has welcomed back our special education program. We appreciate these community partners for their help. What I would say is, budget-wise, we had, again, we always appreciate the support of the town, and the town has constantly demonstrated a support for education at Beecher Road School. And there was a reduction of $50,000, and we have tried to, I think the good communication between town and school district has helped a lot, because our early retirement incentive will help us to pick up some of that cost there. We have a couple of teacher retirements that will be coming up. We will also have a retirement, our special ed director, who's been with us for nearly 10 years, Sheila Haverkamp, will be retiring. And our wonderful teacher and assistant principal, who's been there many, many years, a young woman, but she's been there many years, Nancy White, will be retiring. So once again, it's like passing the torch on in a slow but steady process, and I'm sure we'll have lots of applicants for the position. There was a reduction also in our technology budget, but again, with the support of our school board, and with collaboration and conversation with the town, we're hoping to meet that cut with maybe some of the surplus that we anticipate. And we are also looking forward, if we can, to give back whatever we can to the town, too. Because, again, our mantra is quality education, but we're looking for ways of supporting the town at the same time. I'll end by just thanking you once again for all your continual support and help at the school. And again, if you end early, come and join us over at the school.
Thank you, Dr. Sala. I actually stopped at the book fair before coming here.
Wonderful.
And it was wonderful, as it always is. I said to Marge, could it be a year already since the last one? But it was only 6 months, which I was glad to see that. And also I had an opportunity to speak with the librarian about the program that Catherine Ward spoke about. So as always, it was very, very lively and
thank you
well
for being
attended.
there and for your presence. And
Well, of course, thank
appreciate
you. And are you pretty much set for the summer programs?
There's a lot of work and a lot of organization, because at Amity High School, for example, they have a lot of activity this summer too. I think they have solar panels being put in and so on. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that has to be done. We're trying to get the dates narrowed down. We hope to have them very soon. But the children don't see any of the work. They'll just come. The programs will be operating, and again, it's because everyone's partnership,
Great, thank you.
cooperation.
Any questions, Dr. Stein?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Joe.
Now I believe it's the town clerk. And the first item is a request for authorization for the town clerk to apply for a document preservation grant. Stephanie, just want to say a little bit about the grant.
Well, it's only $3,000 this year. The state's been cutting it back each year. We use it for re-indexing and rescanning our older land records that are handwritten and getting them into the computer world and online. So we're back to 1956. They're working on 1953, 4, and 5 now. It's a very expensive process, but this helps us each year with the money that the town gives us to put towards this project. It's an ongoing project, of course. Our new indexes are computerized. Everything else is computerized now. So we're scanned and computerized back to 1956.
Okay. Are there questions for Stephanie?
It's only a $3,000 grant this year, but usually it gets approved with no problem.
That's the maximum?
That's the
That we can
maximum
apply
for
for?
the small towns. We're a small
Right.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was up to $7,000 at one time. But they've been eating away at it little by little. And of course, the town's, the state's not getting a lot of money in, so there's not a lot of money going into the kitty too. So that's that.
Is there a motion then to approve authorization to apply for the document preservation grant?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Steph, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, kind of. I do have a little book here. Before I do that, can I just tell you, we had a fire at our house 2 weeks ago, and you have the best volunteer fire department in the world. Thank God for them. We're all okay. The house is a little shabby, but they saved our house. They really did. And we have a wonderful administration. I'm so proud of everybody here in Woodbridge. I can't even tell you. I can't stop talking about it. So I just wanted to say that before I tell you about this wonderful book that we recently we got the book in the other day. We have 1,000 copies. We've sold about 75 so far. I know that's not a lot, but that's
Pre-sales.
about $3,500 we have in our
Was that
kitties.
mostly pre-sales? The
Pre-sales?
75?
That was all
Oh,
pre-sales.
that's
So
good.
now we're going to start advertising the book.
Now it's in hand.
We have, Sheila has made up some flyers and little inserts for the tax bills, and we're gonna get going on it. We're gonna have a special event at the Darling House on the 19th also,
Great.
from 2 to 4, and we'll be able to sell the book. They're gonna have an open house from 2 to 4, so you're all welcome to come.
When is that, Steph?
That's the 19th of April,
Of April.
on a Sunday from 2 to 4. And
Here's Sheila, your
I just want to
co-book
say
person.
many thanks to Sheila McCreven and Kathy Gartland. Kathy Gartland did the first edition of the book. She wasn't able to come tonight, and all the members of the Historic Book Committee for all their hard work and seeing the book through to completion. It was a long time. I know we made you wait a long time, but I appreciate it. And Sheila did a magnificent job. This book is beautiful. I think everybody loves it so far, and I'm going to give you the copies that you paid for, and anybody else that would like a copy tonight, you're welcome to send me a check later on. That's
Now
fine
we
too.
know what we can get you for his birthday.
Nice try, Jeff.
And thank you to Ellen and the Board of Selectmen, and thank you to the Board of Finance and Tony for lending us the money to do this book. But I think it's going to be popular. We have people from out of state that are ordering the book, so I think it'll be a nice.
Well, Steph, we want to say thank you to you and Sheila and Kathy and your entire committee. We went out on a little bit of a limb to advance the money, but it is so much, it's worth so much more than what we put into it. And honestly, people are talking about it, sending emails. Everyone who has seen this book is just
That's
overwhelmed by how beautiful and what a great job it is. So congratulations to you and thank you.
Well, thank
for what
you very
did.
much. Thank you very much, and you can have the first copy.
Okay.
Tony ordered 3.
Yes.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. And Susan, you have a copy too.
Did you say my tax bill is in it? Is that what you said?
What did you say? Look through the pages, maybe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, you ordered 2 of them.
Where am I?
There are ours.
Beth, oh my friend Beth, who
Jerry?
worked very hard on the book too. Thank you very much.
I'm dying. I can't wait. I'm leaving. I'm going to go read it now. Bye, guys.
You too?
Yeah.
All right.
Joe got one.
Jerry, you have one. No, I think we have. Anybody else? Joe, would you want one?
Well, I brought I say you want mine.
Did you say our credit is good?
Your credit is good.
Yes.
Your credit is good. Here you go. One for you. Tony, you already.
You already have my check.
It has that new book smell.
No.
It does.
I can't wait to read it.
There's all new people in there too. There's new houses and.
When I went
Photos
to
are
the printer's
phenomenal.
press and they were running it on the printer's press, we took some video, as a matter of fact. We could maybe put it on the town website if you want, but the old-fashioned way in which they're still running presses to create books like this, it was, and the smell, you're right, it comes right back to you.
that feel to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
I
wonderful.
think the video would be great, and Betsy incorporated video in a Facebook post or
Yeah,
some communication.
That's
It
great,
was
hot off the
great.
press.
It was great, but you should have more.
No, I think
That would be great.
You all have. Did everybody get everybody have one that wants one?
No, I got mine.
Tony has.
I have mine.
Leave them here? Yeah. All right. Anybody else should come to the table.
If they leave, anybody comes and leaves a check.
The library will
Bring
also
that.
be selling. The library will also be selling the books for us too.
Well, it's really a wonderful project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to item number 5, which is vote to sign the call of the election for May 4th. Is there a motion to vote to sign the call?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or discussion? First, let's vote. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, let's sign. And the next item, number 6, is there a motion to call the annual town meeting for May 18th, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Now, Jerry, this is in this form because we still don't have the actual budget that will be presented.
That's
right?
correct.
But this
because the
authorizes.
preliminary budget hearing is not until the 27th of April.
Right.
But we have to get things in the works.
Okay, good. So, any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do you want to pass this along? I'll sign. Sure. Afterwards. The next item, I'll tell you what this was about. I could actually remove it from the agenda. Superintendent Dumais had called to say that the town of Orange was interested in changing the hours for the Amity referendum. It turns out there's either a state statute or a Board of Education regulation that controls that, so it really is not even a question for us to discuss. So effectively, that's removed from the agenda. Item number 8 are the annual policy statements that we are required to approve in order to, well, partly to adopt good policies, but also to be able to have access to state grants. Jerry, I didn't sign it yet, but okay. So I think, can we do a motion for all at once?
So moved.
Beth is moving to adopt the policies listed in item 8, Fair Housing Resolution, Fair Housing Policy Statement, compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, ADA notice, municipal grievance procedure, affirmative action policy statement, community development block grant, conflict of interest policy. Those are the policies. Beth has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
These are every year?
Yeah.
Every April.
Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the report of the administrative officer and finance report.
Okay, thank you. The report, excuse me, through March of 2015 is a budgetary surplus of $300,000 at the end of the fiscal year. That's up from the last monthly projection for several reasons. The projected fund balance at the end of the year would be at $4.4 million, or about 9.6 of the budget at the end of the year. This is a conservative estimate. We do have some back tax collections that I haven't counted on for here, but that we're hopeful about, and some other revenue items that could boost that even higher in our next month or two reports. But as of right now, this is a conservative estimate of where we are, and a couple of changes from last month rather. The department charges are surplus of about $40,000. We actually received $15,000 from the settlement of the former CRRA garbage project. So that was a revenue that was helpful for us. Also our revenues from police private duty are also coming in higher than we budgeted. So those are two that have been helpful on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, we have a surplus probably of close to $40,000 in the library, mainly due to vacant positions and staff turnover, which has helped to generate that surplus. In addition, the waste management is up to about $45,000 due to some surpluses in garbage and recycling. The Woodbridge Board of Education has reported that they hope to have a surplus of $50,000 at the end of the year. That's also a new item for this month, and so I've included that in the projection. And finally, benefits are about $65,000 surplus, and that's largely due to some health care and retirement savings that we've had, and the police mainly, and in the general town hall health care. So those are some of our surpluses towards the end of the year. So we're hopeful that we will try to get as close to our budget as possible.
Thank you. Questions, Tony?
Tony, any numbers to associate with the police department shortfall?
The salary, you mean, in the department?
Yeah, it says police department.
So basically what's happening is if you go into the budget, their overtime is probably going to be over budget by, I'd say if we go through the end of the year, if they trend out as they've been trending, probably, so let's say $70,000. But they're have a surplus in their salary line to cover that.
I see that. I just
So-
there wasn't one of the numbers.
Yeah,
so everything else has a number and police didn't, so I was just curious.
I can certainly tell you what they are. So they'll probably be close to $70,000 in over on the overtime, but they could have close to $100,000 to $125,000 surplus in wages.
Okay.
So you'll see the difference in that could be $25,000, $30,000
Okay.
surplus to the bottom line.
Okay.
And Tony, I had one question, because I didn't see the Woodbridge Board of Ed last month.
That's a new item. Last month I didn't put one in because they weren't.
Did they give us information? What's that attributed to? Salary? What was the?
So they have just their general operations, that they have a report that they hand out every month. Do we put that in? We discussed that at the Board of Finance. I'm not sure if it's put in here. But they have, I'd have to get more information on that. This was just their bottom line figure.
I was just wondering if that had an effect, if the Board of Finance had seen that when they finalized their end of the budget.
They haven't. No, that's a kind of a new figure that we just recently received in the last few weeks.
Okay, great.
Anything else?
I was going to ask if I don't jinx it by asking, if there's any season-ending snow clearance.
Well, it's funny that you asked that question because last time we discussed it,
Supposed to snow.
I whistle through graveyards.
we had like 3 events since the last time we transferred the money, and so we're still short in a few accounts, and so I'd say we spent probably a couple $100,000 between salt and overtime and vehicle repairs and gasoline and benefits, at least $200,000, $250,000.
Tony also pointed out to me that we had the misfortune of having the storms often on the weekend.
Right.
So we were starting out with overtime,
And none of those are FEMA qualifying events.
No,
correct?
because when FEMA looks at it, they look at a period where you have a
Right.
lot of snowfall, like a 3-day period.
Right.
But if you have it spread out over,
Right.
I'm sure you
That freak
count
squall.
the same
kind
thing.
of
Yeah,
thing,
right. Then there's not really coverage from FEMA. So luckily, we were conservative in some of our budgeting and on our use of contingency, and we were able to cover a lot of that with our contingency and within the department. The department's also conservative in their budget approach until we know that we're through the snow season. So.
And it's awfully chilly tonight.
I had to say something.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the monthly report? Okay, next is award of bids. The first is the catch basin cleaning. Can you speak to that, Tony?
Sure. So in these bids, you're going to see some interesting results, which is generally the reason why we bid these items. The first is on the catch basin cleaning bid, and as you can see, we received 5 bids, and the low bid here is Janet's, which is we've used before, which is $16.16 per basin and a 2% discount. You can see the high bid, National Water Main Cleaning, $60 per basin and $120 per deep basin. So you can see there's a huge difference in the bids that we received. So
Did
I
they,
think it's
well, you
interesting.
wouldn't know whether they looked at last year or anything like, what in heaven's name were they thinking? It was $60.
They're a large
They're a large company?
company that
Yeah.
deals with large accounts.
Uh-huh.
And so it's my guess that, I think one of their accounts was the Massachusetts highway system. So they do
Really?
like
Oh,
tens of thousands of basins.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
yeah, wow.
There's still quite a range. It's just that the $60 made everybody else look a little closer
Yeah.
together.
Right.
But without it, it's still quite a range.
There is,
So
yeah.
that was, is there a motion to approve bid 2015-08 for catch basin cleaning and award it to Janet's Sweeping and Property Care LLC?
Second.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next is bid 2015-09 for street sweeping services.
The street sweeping, we received 4 bids, and the low bid is CRS Landscape and Excavation. We actually haven't used them before, but they received a lot of very strong recommendations from several towns, mostly in the Hartford area. I believe they're trying to get some more towns around here. As you can see, they're from Simsbury. But they became very highly recommended, so we're recommending an award to CRS Landscape.
Is there a motion to approve bid 2015-09 for street sweeping services and award it to CRS Landscape and Excavation LLC?
So moved. I have a question. but,
Sure.
you know.
Okay, Beth?
I'm just curious, how many miles do they do usually? Just if you know.
They
If
do
you
the
don't
whole
know, it's
town
okay.
pretty much.
The whole town?
Yeah.
Street sweep. Do
Yeah.
we know how many miles there are?
70,
You you must know.
73, 74.
Wow.
That's without state roads?
Yeah, that's, I believe so.
Okay.
If that includes state roads, then I'm not sure about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Just
actually
curious.
don't know the answer to that, but they
Thank
do
you.
the whole town.
Yeah. Thank you.
So have we used Janet Sweeping previously?
We have, yeah.
Because they weren't
They
all
historic,
that
they
much
won
more.
it, they won it to several years. I want to say at least 3 or 4 years in the past 5
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
They're a little higher, but I just thought since we had used them, then we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah.
they were pretty competitive too.
I have one question as a follow-up to.
We were gonna, that would have been our fallback if the recommendations didn't come in so strong.
Yeah, because it would have, the continuity.
For the little
and
bit of
all,
money,
and
yeah.
that's, you know.
And I had a question as a follow-up to, at the budget hearings, we heard Warren talk again about possibly looking into.
We are looking into a sweeper. It probably is not going to be ready for this bid here, but we are looking into pricing on that
Great.
and lease pricing on that, and then how much that would cost versus this cost. And we'd like to present a recommendation at some point, or at least show you the results.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now we have consideration of something called a dump body.
Right.
This is
We did,
bid 2015-10. You want to?
sure. We did the cabin chassis a while back, and so this is for the dump body portion of that. And as you can see, we received 4 bids. This is an example of how closely the bids came to one another. And the low bid, which was for Truck Builders of Connecticut, was $80,806. We generally take the 1% discount based on our current rates, so that would be $79,997. And you can see the other 3 of the other 4 bids or 2 of the other 3 bids are within $500 of each other for an $80,000 bid. So, and we've you can see Warren's letter. He indicates that he went through the bids to make sure that they're apples to apples comparison with each other.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve bid 2015-10 and award the bid to Truck Builders of Connecticut?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. We're now at funding requests. The first is a request for line item transfer 1415-18 in the amount of $12,500.
This is a transfer within the fire department budget, and part of it's to transfer from oil heating to natural gas, just because we've done the conversion there. It's for $8,000. And then the chief has requested an additional $4,500 for his data processing line to meet some expenditures related to some work that had to be done and additional visits that had to be done to their computers for some server issues and some permissions and some, they had to change over a few permissions and employee permissions. So those are the requests for this.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve line item transfer 1415-18 in the amount of $12,500?
So moved.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next is line item transfer 1415-19 in the amount of $5,000.
It's also from the fire commission, or fire department, and this is you see a letter from the chief to cover some unanticipated building repairs, including the fixing of a zone valve on an air handling unit, and some other areas and issues with their fire alarm. And so the chief was able to find the funds within his own budget, and that's from gear replacement and training. So that's the request for a $5,000 transfer.
Thank you. Any questions for Tony? Is there a motion to approve line item transfer 1415-19 in the amount of $5,000?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have line item transfer 1415-20 in the amount of $2,904.86.
The next few transfers are related to the winter storm activity that we discussed, and this is for meal allowance that we have to pay per contract to employees during our 21 snow events that occurred. And most of them were since January. I don't think we had too many in December.
Really?
So that just shows you how many snow events we had in
Yes.
a 2-month period.
Amazing. Is there a motion to approve line item transfer 1415-20 in the amount of $2,904.86?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Line item transfer 1415-21 in the amount of $7,394.35.
This is a transfer that you can see from some equipment parts and road maintenance to a maintenance line where the garage budget uses for shop supplies that were used throughout the winter.
Questions for Tony? Is there a motion to approve line item transfer 1415-21 in the amount of $7,394.35?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Actually, I have
Discussion?
one.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I was trying to figure, there's not a place in the budget where it was just, we went over that amount.
We went
by that
correct.
much.
We went over by that
So
much.
is it a small, what was the original amount? I'm just wondering, was it a couple thousand? or was
It's
it that far over?
15 maybe. I'll tell you the exact figure.
Is that something we might have to adjust in the future?
Yeah, generally, we budget for an average winter,
Yeah.
and
I can't remember the last one.
Whatever that means.
whatever that means. Lately, that's been changing, but
Yeah.
for, aside from the past few years, we generally budget conservatively for an average winter, and then have to sometimes accommodate additional funds. Let's see.
While Tony's looking, I just have to say, I so admire the specificity of this.
$9,000 is was the original appropriation.
Okay, so we
So
almost
next year,
doubled.
we may have to
So
consider.
you do like a rolling 5-year average?
Correct, exactly,
Okay.
exactly, right.
But equipment parts, $4,994.35. You know, no rounding up. I mean, it's really, it's quite something.
And they were able to all find it in the budget.
Correct, right.
Which is great. That was the
Yep.
best. That was the best.
Anything else? Questions? questions, comments? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we're at line item transfer 1415-22 in the amount of $7,600.
This is for vehicle parts, and it's the same concept. There's actually a pretty detailed memo that indicates which types of repairs were done to various trucks. And give me 1 second here. No, I was just going to show you how much the budget was. I'm also hopeful, we're all generally hopeful that this was 25,000, because this is like repairs and we're also hopeful that with the new garage that some of these costs will go down as a result of being able to house the vehicles in the environment, you know. And with the truck wash, they can be washed on a regular basis. So hopefully we'll see some improvement there.
Bottom line is the hard winter.
Right, basically.
Multiple areas.
Right, basically.
Is there a motion to approve line item transfer 1415-22 in the amount of $7,600?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution endorsing participation in the ICE program. This is one of the initiatives that we've been working on with the City of New Haven. We've talked about this one before, and there are certain opportunities that are more available to us and to New Haven and other municipalities if we work together. So this is a snow removal piece of equipment, and it's necessary for us to approve this resolution. So is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on this item?
There's a contract attached here. Jerry, you've read this?
We read it, this is the board approved the underlying agreement with New Haven, which has already been executed. The City of New Haven and the Town of Woodbridge entered into a joint municipal agreement for the operation of these pieces of equipment. This is just the application for the grant of the money. And it's already been approved from what I understand, because there should be a letter in there to the City of New Haven. There is, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've already gotten $109,000. We just have to retroactively approve the application and give them this resolution.
Okay.
And I was trying to read through, but it looked like that was the total amount of the equipment. There was no additional
No
cost.
additional
The
cost.
grant is for the
Right.
total cost of the
I
equipment.
believe that's true, and in any event, we are not obligated for
To spend
any financial part of this.
Great.
Anything else? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Tony, any other?
I have just two others. They're real quick. The first is, just as an FYI, we received 8 bids for our solar project that could possibly go on the landfill. So we're currently reviewing those, and they were very competitive, and there was quite a few of them. So that's good news, I think.
Tony, does that mean, have they all determined that it would be worthwhile for them to
They
go
have.
ahead?
They've all.
Oh, that's great.
There's just there's a lot of different variables that come into play, so we have to analyze all the different variables and make sure that we have an apples-to-apples comparison as to which one makes the most sense.
And that was the only piece of property that...
That was the one that, as far as was after there was a review, the one that made the most sense.
And nobody came back
And
asked.
there was no one came back and said that the service is too far away, or the trees are too, the trees are blocking the sun, or the landscape is too whatever. There were no issues with the site.
Baseballers aren't going to break them.
Right.
That's
Did
great.
they look at other sites too?
I believe they did, yeah. I'm not sure which ones.
Cap
but-
landfills are the ideal place to put
Yeah, I
these
remember
things.
that with the presentation, but I was just curious if they looked at others and
I believe they
had
did a
any kind of
preliminary.
measurable comparison.
I think they focused, I don't think so, I think they focused on the landfill.
On landfill.
Yeah, I mean, they did a cursory review of others, but I think the landfill was the focus.
If anyone has
There could
suggestions
be other
about other
places that
properties for them to look at,
Yeah.
we certainly bring them to them. Be great. Thank
And
you.
the only other one is that we've reached out to the property owners on this road that goes to the animal control facility to see if there's anyone else interested in sharing the cost of hooking up to the water supply. So we'll see.
Any responses yet?
No responses yet. Great.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy?
In your packets, you all should have an email from Peggy Pisano about Child Abuse Awareness Month. And that they are requesting permission to put 3 purple pinwheels and the lawn sign on a prominent area in town. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and they're placing the pinwheels in their 22 town region to raise awareness of the issue. They will put the pinwheels there, take them away at the end of the month, and they're just looking for approval to use town property to do that.
Do they propose a location, or do we just?
I think they've left it up to
They leave
us.
it up to us.
Yeah.
And I think if we're inclined to approve this, we should talk about a location. Because Betsy, I think you said they want to put the solar house back up?
It was put up
Oh,
today.
it is back up.
But they could possibly use, it's only 3 pinwheels and a sign. So they could possibly use a different corner of the triangle, or maybe on the green or the.
We did this last year. Did we not?
I don't remember.
This is the first time it's come to us.
They've done it in New Haven. And
It's kind of a
This is the
small.
first time.
You got orange and
It's
seaweed.
very small.
It's kind of a
Yeah,
small
they do.
thing.
I'm comfortable with the triangle around, near
Yeah, in front of the old
readjusting with
firehouse.
in front of the old firehouse in that little
Would
triangle.
you like to make a
there.
motion?
I would love to make that motion that we offer them the triangle for the 3 pinwheels and the sign. Yeah, put up, taken down by them.
I'll second that.
Anything else? Any other
Working
discussion?
around the solar house. No duking it
Well,
out now, no fights.
Just to say, this group has put up pinwheels at the Capitol. I remember them at the Capitol. And I happened to see the 285 on the New Haven Green just last week, and it is an effective tool to raise awareness of this issue. So I'm all for it.
Thank you. Good, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Jerry?
Yes, very quickly.
One more, we have another here.
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Another.
Betsy. I'm sorry.
So I just have 2 quick things, and then I'll turn it over to you. So I want to let everyone know that the Woodbridge Energy Challenge is continuing, and our task force chair, Lisa, is here tonight. There's a solar workshop coming up on April 16th at 7 p.m. at the Center Gym. And they will let everybody know about the program, talk about what makes a good, what makes a good solar site, talk about the rebates available, and there will be plenty of time for question and answer so people can ask their personalized questions about solar. Additionally, on Election Day, there will be a lighting fair in the afternoon from 4 to 8 p.m. That'll be a table with a vendor so that residents can buy discounted high-efficiency light bulbs. Excuse me. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that Ellen and the Economic Development Commission have been working together to support local businesses and strengthen ties between the business community and town hall. I've been writing stories about those events and putting them on the town's business page. I'd like to encourage businesses to use that page, make sure their business is listed on the website, and also if they have any press releases or news items to send them to me, and I'll make sure to get them on that business website to share the good news. That's it.
Great.
Thank you, Betsy.
So, we just put this on the agenda for informational purposes only at this time. And that's the South Central, the New Haven Regional Water Pollution Control Authority, which Woodbridge is a member of, together with Hamden, East Haven, and New Haven. And we have a representative on that authority that represents the town of Woodbridge. There's a pretty big proposal that is taking place, and that is to admit Stratford as a constituent municipality to the regional water, to the pollution control authority. And we've received a draft of an ordinance that each town is going to be asked to adopt at probably the May or June meeting, which will allow Stratford to become a member, and also the authority is proposing to buy the Stratford wastewater system and have that incorporated into the existing system that we now operate. So there's going to be a proposed ordinance that the town is going to have to adopt, as well as amendments to the bylaws, which will contemplate Stratford becoming a member. I talked to the lawyer who is working in behalf of the authority and got some background on it, and it seems like the municipalities are on board with this, although no town has yet adopted the ordinance. So we want to wait until we see at least one of the big towns. We think it's wise to wait until we see one of the big towns adopt and approve, and then we will bring it up to the town at the probably the next Board of Selectmen meeting, or maybe the meeting in June. So that should be on the radar screen. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next is town clerk's report. Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the town clerk's report?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
We will now turn to the minutes. Jerry, thank you very much for the minutes here. First we have minutes from December 2nd, a joint meeting of the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen. The Board of Finance has approved these minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the joint meeting of December 2nd, 2014?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
I'll abstain, I was a little late, so.
Okay. The next is also a joint meeting of the Boards of Selectmen and Board of Finance. It has also been approved by the Board of Finance. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 4th, 2014?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Jerry, I was late again. Tough week, I guess.
We now have the minutes of the Board of Selectmen special meeting of January 20th, 2015. Is there a motion? Oh, these are the minutes that we considered last time. Lawrence brought up a question about whether we had missed certain commissions for referring the plan. Jerry Shaw has checked and found that the original minutes were accurate. So we will now, I guess, revisit this with a new motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
With apologies.
Any abstentions? But, I did have some record, maybe we discuss it at a
different
meeting.
meeting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It was the next.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Selectmen regular meeting of February 11th, 2015?
Now, I just want to make one statement in those minutes. It states that the information on the regional performance incentive grants is attached, and the reason is because it says it's attached in the resolution, but when I made the copies, I failed to attach it. It will be attached to the minutes that go downstairs. If anyone wants a copy for their files, they're right here.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have a motion?
What are we doing, February 11th?
Okay, February 11th. Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second? Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor? Aye. And is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen of February 19th, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Not, all those in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
Thank you. And Jerry, thank you for doing all these minutes. We have received a resignation from Michael Ewing, who is resigning from the Board of Finance. I want to thank him very much for his service on the Board of Finance. He is currently working as a teacher and getting his credentials for becoming a principal, which requires quite a bit of time and work, and he doesn't have the time for the Board of Finance. So with regret, we accept that, and we're sorry to lose him. Okay. I think I will move on to the first Selectmen's report because we're still a few minutes before 7. I want to announce and remind those of you who already know that we'll have a grand opening of the Department of Public Works new building on April 30th at 1 p.m. and that is exactly 2 years to the day since the groundbreaking. So it will be a very meaningful day. The building is aptly dedicated to our former First Selectman, Ed Sheehy, and I think it will be a very significant event for the town. And Betsy, do you want to speak to what will be happening that day? I think there'll be tours as well as ceremony.
We're planning tours of the building to give people an idea about all the energy efficiency measures that were put in place and to show people the back end of the operations that go on over there.
On the economic development side, as Betsy mentioned, I've been visiting businesses in Woodbridge, starting with a focus on new and expanding businesses, but we've also been trying to show our support for businesses that have been here for a while. So we've been to the CrossFit gym, which is a new gym down where New England Brewery used to be. And the owners have told us that they chose Woodbridge because they see it as an up-and-coming community, and they were very happy to find space here. We also visited something called Auth Air, which is a security software company. It's a high-tech company, with very impressive product. The owner grew up in Woodbridge and said he always hoped to have a business here in Woodbridge. So that was wonderful to see. As many of you may know, True Value Hardware has expanded. They have a very attractive new section, and they'll have a grand opening in June. Last week, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy was here. He has been doing a tour around the state of manufacturing businesses to support manufacturing in the state, and it was wonderful to tour with him 3 manufacturing businesses here in Woodbridge. We took a broad view of manufacturing, and we visited Modern Trousseau, which is a bridal shop. It's not a retail shop, but they actually sew wedding dresses and some other bridal-related dresses right here in Woodbridge. It's one of very few places that still actually manufactures bridal gowns in the United States, and she explained to us that people come from all over the country to have their fittings here in Woodbridge, and she promotes our local restaurants for lunch. I don't know if the brides eat lunch, but I think perhaps their parents do.
Maybe after the fitting.
After the fitting. It was lovely. We also visited Air Handling Systems, a manufacturer of ductwork. I had a little harder time relating to the product, but it was a very, very impressive site, and that's actually Jamie Scott, who's on our Economic Development Commission. I believe he's the 3rd generation in his family to own the business. And we did stop at New England Brewing, so there was something for everyone in that tour. And New England Brewery is looking to expand at their local site. So it was a very successful trip, and all 3 of those businesses are owned by Woodbridge residents. So it was very nice. Also, the Economic Development Commission held its annual breakfast, which was very well attended. The chair, Jody Allant, and the commission did a great job getting the word out. Betsy was terrific also in getting people there. And the presentation was very well received. It was 2 local businesses that are experts in digital business promotion through social media. And the other businesses that were there were really very enthused about what they heard and were looking for more information. And there was also really good networking going on just among the businesses that found themselves there together. So in order to encourage that, we're going to try starting some business after hours for businesses to get together. Betsy's going to try to put that together starting in June.
Yeah, late May or June is the goal.
Okay. I think what I'll do is stop there and come back to this after public comment. It's 7 o'clock. Is there anyone here for public comment?
No.
Welcome, Mr. Pine.
Good evening. Chuck Pine, 162 Center Road. So it's been a month, and when I was before you last time, my question was, how are we doing on the ethics issue and the revision of the ethics ordinance? I haven't seen any action in that for a month, although I must say that I bumped into Susan leaving a restaurant a couple weeks ago and we had a brief discussion, and that's okay, we disagree, but I'd like to have the issue put in front of the ordinance committee and then in front of you. It's been over a year from the time my complaint was first filed. I mean, well over a year, and I haven't seen any activity at all in months. I've seen your picture in the paper a lot, and that's nice, and I know you're in town, so it isn't as like you're busy doing other things, but I think this has to be somewhere on the to-do list. You know, I look around town and I say, okay, so maybe the ethics isn't the top of your list, but the Toll Brothers thing is out there, the shed for the back of the fire department. There are a lot of major issues, and the shed in the back of the fire department has a cascade effect, as we all know, to the old firehouse and everyone lining up to want to use that facility. There are a lot of important issues that are going on in town or trying to go on in town. I looked at the agenda tonight, and I only waltzed in here a few minutes ago. It didn't seem too much else on the agenda. I don't know what the deal is. So, okay, you don't want the ethics thing to be first? I'm disappointed. I don't know why it takes over a year to get to one issue like that, but I don't know what else you guys are doing. So I'm going to ask you to please step it up. I think that the voters and the taxpayers of Woodbridge are expecting you to manage the town and to jump on the important issues. And it's okay, you prioritize them, maybe not in the order I like, but you got to do something, because there are too many big issues and small that I think are just sitting around. And I don't know the reason for it. I can guess, but I'll leave it at that. So I will see you next month, and hopefully I'll be able to participate as a member of the public to listen to what the ordinance committee has had to say, and that there'll be something consequential about the ethics issue that I keep coming here and talking about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just for anyone listening who's not aware of it, Mr. Pine's ethics complaint was dealt with and went through the process. You are asking for a change to our ordinance, and that's what has not happened. I understand that. I just want to make clear that it's not that your complaint wasn't dealt with. It was. And
my complaint opened a can of worms that has not been closed. The ordinance commission or committee itself actually had language that Attorney Weiner had prepared, and my recollection was that there were some good points to it, but it was incomplete and more work was to be done, and that was several months ago. So, okay, technically I guess my complaint was addressed, but the ethics issue certainly has not been closed out.
thank you. Anybody else?
Bob Hill, 68 Acorn Hill. I'm going to first make a couple of comments as a resident, then I'm going to give you a little update from Recreation. I know we weren't on the agenda, but I think there's a couple items here that I might want to update you on. No, Joe, you'll probably be happy when the Recreation people come and giving you an update, so that works out well too. Just two things. I was listening to the solar idea, which I think is a great idea. I was over the weekend, drove up to Boston and back on Sunday, and Boston seems to be really endorsing the solar program, a lot of off-ramps and that type of thing. There's like solar farms growing all over the place there. My only question, I do obviously live close to the transfer station, just making sure, and obviously you're not going to answer because this is just public comment, is to ensure that the capping of the what's over the dump isn't compromised in any way. I'm sure that the technology exists, but that's just my question. My second question really, or my second comment really, is kind of made me think about it. I've talked to a couple people about this in town. It just, as Mr. Pine was just speaking, made me think about it. You know, when people come here and make public comment, what happens is I'm really kind of unclear what the process is that the public comment is actually answered or responded to at some point in time. Sometimes it comes up through your report, Ellen, through the first Selectmen's report. Many times that's where it comes from. I'd suggest as a resident, maybe after
or before public comment at each meeting, maybe responding to the previous meeting's public comment. So that way, there's kind of a clearing of the items that were out there, because otherwise, for instance, the issue that Mr. Pine has, I just happened to be here and he's making that comment, it just keeps coming up. So, that way that one's dealt with. And maybe just, procedurally, that may be something you might want to give some thought to. Just be caring about it. Now I'm going to switch. I'm going to put on my recreation hat. Okay. So, first of all, congratulations on the firehouse grant. We're looking forward to that project moving forward. I know that there's still a number of things that need to happen for that to happen. The Beecher grant, that obviously that benefits recreation too, because we're over there. And also the grant for the playground, and also the work that the town has been doing on the playground. So there are a couple things, and I looked at our minutes from our recreation meeting that Tony was at, and I think Tony may have some comments in his report today, but I know you don't normally act on the liaison report. It's more of almost a public comment from the selectmen. So the first thing that came up, and this is kind of a procedural thing that we ran into in our public comment. Apparently, the guy who's now the president of the softball league was a little bit uninformed of procedures, because the former president didn't pass on to him how things work. And so apparently, he had submitted his request for fields for last year. They had 2 teams. And so this year we granted them 16 slots for the 2 teams. It looks like they're up to 3. And normally a team needs about 2 slots a week because they play away games. So that means they would need 4 slots, maybe 6. We gave them 16 slots. But apparently, because in the past they had asked for certain days, and they do come on after the high school. This year, I guess they asked for every single day, and then they asked for all day Saturday and Sunday, disregard to any other group that uses the fields. And apparently when we rejected that, they didn't come to our meeting. Rather than coming to our next meeting, they decided to head down to town hall and lodge their complaint. And Ellen was nice enough to come to the meeting to help get the issue clarified. But I would hope that in the future, when people kind of just jump the chain of command, that we can kind of send them back and we can deal through the process. Because once John realized what the process was, it was pretty evident that that's where he should have started from the beginning. And the reality is, because there was some intimation that there was a girls-boys issue here, the reality is the Bethwood League has 22 teams. There are girls on those teams too. If anything, if we have any type of issue with boys and girls at this point, it's the fact that we don't have a 90-foot diamond in town for boys. But anyway, hopefully as we work on the other grants, and the league works with, and the Recreation Commission works with Tony, maybe we'll be successful at finding money for the league. Now that things are a little bit different now with our enrollment, and things have been all sorted out with the Orange and Bethany and Woodbridge and our middle school coach. Very successful, by the way. Last year I was asked, as the summer went on, the high school coach, Jeff Roddick, who ran the team, he actually asked me to help him coach the team. I was surprised. I wouldn't want me coaching, but I guess I'm kind of like the Tony Robbins of coaching, so he liked having me around. Except he took off the last week on me, and I had to run the team, and they ended up winning the extreme state Connecticut State League. So it was really just landing the plane. That's all it was really. But the kids had a great time. It was really terrific. The other thing that came up at the meeting, which I think I should probably we should make you aware of, is the playground people came back again, and they've been to us several months ago looking for money for a bench and a buddy bench, and we are happy to contribute about $1,175 to the bench that Beecher was going to put $500 on, but I was going to say Beecher on. So they came back and they asked us to buy 2 more benches, so we could have our name on a bench, and we're going to be on the sign. And what came out in the discussion, which was a little surprising as we started looking at the plan and things that are going on, I know I personally was the one that suggested to Colleen and Terry when they first started working at it, that Pease would be a good place because it's the only facility that doesn't have a playground. And it's fine. What's happened though, which I'm a little bit concerned about, is the original plan that we approved is not what is
happening there. And I know you all dealt with that here a little bit with the plan, but at one point they came back with a couple different things, and what happened was there was a small basketball court that was added that was supposed to be like a half court for little kids. Well, what we learned at this last meeting was not only is it not a small half-court basketball court, it's a full-size, it's a shortened version, but it's 65 feet long with two baskets that basically can go up to 10 feet for regulation-size basketball, which is probably about the size of the center gym. So we can certainly anticipate, based on that, there are going to be older kids and grown-ups playing basketball. The concern that came up all of a sudden as this discussion was ensuing is, and Colleen said, look, this is a space we had to be jammed into here. If we had known that it was terrific that, they got the basketball court that we were hoping in our plan, for the town plan. If we had known that and come back to us, we certainly would have supported or suggested a different way to configure the court, because as it stands now, where the basketball hoop is and where the playground begins, where there's going to be little kids, and keep in mind, this is going to be an ADA compliant playground. Literally, some of these kids will be playing on the playground as close to where I'm sitting to where Ellen is. So you get a kid that takes a shot from half court and misses the backboard, that's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to, Colleen is coming back at our next meeting because she's hoping that we're going to revisit the bench discussion. We've asked for her to come back and give us an accounting of monies the town has spent on it, what they've spent on the playground, to kind of measure up where we fall into the category. And I think that what we need to look at that point in time is either a fence or some sort of screening there, because it's a bit of a dangerous situation. What she had under the basket was like a net. It looked like a Spider-Man thing under the net that would basically, the ball would come down, land in, and roll back. That's really not going to work with older kids. That's just going to be, the kid's going to run up, dunk the ball, and land into the net, and so we need to deal with that. I went the next day after the meeting, I walked over the chain and that type of thing. So we need to deal with that issue. And I know we're not at the point here where we're going to be responding because this is a public comment. I get that. So that is something that's going to be on our radar. We have to deal with it now. It's great we have the basketball court, but I think that because of where it is now, who's going to raise the court, who's going to lower the court, who's going to be allowed, and I've already got a call already from one of the captain's parents for the basketball team at Amity asking if they can start reserving space. So it's already happening, and we're going to have the same discussion like we had with the softball people. Now we're going to be sorting through that. Great, we have it, but it's going to come with some dilemmas with that.
Just be sure the girls get to play basketball.
Absolutely. So, some of the commissioners and people on the rec were a little bit. That was not, unfortunately, when that was brought to us. The commission and the department were highly offended by the thought that was, I know we're kidding here, but they were highly offended by that thought. So,
But I think everybody handled it very well.
We did.
It was not accusatory,
No.
and it was educational, sorry.
So the next item I want to comment on, it's two items and then I'm done. We talked about it at the Recreation Commission, the meeting before, and was resolved, really worked out well. The security system getting in and out of the building, and Tony attended a meeting with me on a Friday where we sorted through, and I guess the system the school uses, we'll be able to tap into that system, so that way, originally, Jim Franco was going to be in his office, someone was going to come up, they were going to hit the bell, and they were going to look at a camera, and Jim was going to need to identify the person based on a visual on a camera. We don't have to buy a different system, which we thought we might have to. We're trying to work side by side to make sure that the system integrates. So it looks like the swipe card system that the North is going to use, we'll be able to use the same. And so what happens, people who are members of the pool will have a card that when the card swipes through, it can come up on Jim's screen. He can see who the person is on the screen. Okay, I see who that's supposed to be. I see their name. He looks on the camera and says, yep, that's that person. If he can't identify them, or whoever's sitting at the desk, because it may not be Jim, then he's got to tell them to come around and make sure that, because we can't let people go into the building, that especially, during some of the daytime swimming that happens. So that was good the way that worked out, and was much more cost effective than what we thought was going to happen. I thank Tony for helping us work through that. And actually Margaret Hamilton had actually, and we were traveling around on a color guard thing that she had said, well, I think you can tap into that. So that worked out well.
The last thing has to do with the country club. We did review a repair list that I prepared with Anthony Taddy, and Tony has a 2-page report. It was, needless to say, not as voluminous as last year's report. The real big item on there is obviously some painting to be done around the area near the swimmer's grill and near the delivery areas. It has a fairly big impact. Some of the painting that John Adamovich was nice enough to do last year on his time did help some of the areas with the columns and that type of thing. But that's probably the biggest item on the list. I know I did get a report yesterday. I know there's a lot of the things on that list that are already working and going through, so that's very helpful, and we do appreciate that, that's working. Our goal is to have most of that work done before our open house in May, and as you were talking before, and Betsy was talking about the economic development, that type of thing, it would be nice if our pool that we own would be added to that website. I know the Racebrook Country Club is up there. And I will ask, as a member of the Recreation, that we don't have a marketing department with Anthony Taddy. And I know, Betsy, you've done a great job sending stuff out in the past. And I do need to ask that we continue to do that, whether it be things that are, whatever types of marketing that can be done working with Anthony. I think you've already met with him a little bit to try to get some of that going. And then the last piece was, I wasn't able to be at the meeting when Anthony Taddy went through the pool rates and that type of thing. But I understand that there was some confusion about the BOA, and I guess there still probably is some confusion about BOA. It's not a snake, but
that's about special rates.
Yeah.
Or what we thought were Woodbridge residents, but something more. Is that right?
So my understanding is when the whole program started, it was offered to the school systems and the teachers of the surrounding Bethany, Woodbridge, Orange school system to be able to get the same Woodbridge town rate as if you were a resident of the town. Now that's a good thing from a community standpoint, because a lot of these teachers are educating our kids. They work in our schools, and that they may work in Beecher but live in Orange or Bethany or vice versa, and that type of thing. And so I'm not sure. And then as it went on, all of a sudden it seems like it's extended to employees. I'm not sure if that was the intention, okay, originally. I thought it was to be limited to the school systems. And I'm not sure if a complaint came or an issue came up for this, but I'm just going to kind of put on the table the concern that I have here, okay? So last year we made about $7,000 at the country club, and I give Anthony Taddy and his staff a tremendous amount of credit for the fact that we had a much higher budget in terms of income and expenses, and he ran that place like a business. And that when we didn't get the membership, and there's a lot of reasons I can tell you we didn't get membership, which I don't want to get into here, but when we didn't get the membership, he managed those costs. He cut back on lifeguards. We did not compromise the services, though. We made sure we delivered based on the income that we were that was being delivered to us. I'm very concerned at this point, based on a number of things that are looming, which may happen. We need to continue to operate this country club, or the pool part, profitably until whatever the final decision is. And if that final decision is it's going to continue, we have to have a base of customers that we can profitably operate. Because as much as I supported and the commission supported running the pool last year, we are teetering at a break-even standpoint at this point in time.
Bob, can I just ask you?
And I'm almost done.
Is there a recommendation that you're making?
Yep. And so because of that, the 5 BOA people we had last year, if we were to lose those people, we would be under break even. And us being inhibited to market to those customers, those are above break even customers. Our costs are covered, okay? We need those customers. And if there's ways to bring more customers in, right now, our issue is we need more income. And we have people who don't sign up because they're concerned about, is the club going to be there? They have other reasons that they don't want to sign up. You know, the facilities, we didn't have the tennis last year. There's a lot of reasons people, and so we're trying to maintain that base and we're trying to grow off of it. So we really can't be handcuffed on some of the members that we can solicit to.
So just what exactly is the definition of a BOA member that the Recreation Commission has approved?
Right. And I know
so we understand, because I believe when we approved the rates, we did approve a BOA rate.
Yes.
And if you want to just make sure that we understand what we approved and we understand, so what exactly is it?
So my concern is when Anthony Taddy sent up his update to everybody, okay, on March 20th, which was after the meeting, he sent that the rates, he excluded the BOA.
Okay, so we can add them back, but who qualifies, so people know?
Right.
If they
It really
qualify
should
for
be
it.
the teachers within the school system, was my understanding, although there was some discussion about do you extend it beyond that. I don't think it's necessary.
So
I
let me
think
ask you,
that
it's teachers employed by the Amity School System and the Beecher Board of Education?
And Orange.
And the Orange and Bethany Elementary Schools?
Right. That's
Anyone
correct.
who teaches in a school, in a public school?
Yep.
In Bethany, Orange, or Woodbridge?
Teachers or?
And that's right, is it only
And
teachers,
just-
or is it
and
also?
just- And just one other point.
Wait,
I know-
is it only teachers, or is it all
It'd be
staff?
staff,
Anyone who is
All staff.
employed by any of those, okay.
And there was one other comment, I guess, that was made in the meeting about what do we get back and forth. When our pool was closed, Orange helps us out with the pool. In the fall, when we don't have very much use of the soccer field, because lacrosse has it, most of the soccer happens in Orange. And there is kind of reciprocal relationship that happens between the three towns, that if a request comes in for the use of a field in Woodbridge, and it's made up of kids from those three towns, and I know, Lawrence, you know this from when you were our liaison, I know, Tony, we treat it basically as a Woodbridge request, because we know Orange and Bethany does the same thing for us, so we are sharing that way. And I think that this is a way to help build the community too, by providing that, and also helping us get a little bit over the break even.
Thank you. So I'm just going to state it again so that we're all clear that this is what the intention of the Recreation Commission is that the BOA rate be available to anyone employed by the Amity School District or Beecher Road School or any elementary school, public elementary school in Orange or Bethany. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry I didn't get on the agenda,
That's all right.
but I became part of your agenda.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to move that we add to the agenda a discussion of this item.
Yeah, thanks.
Will you second that motion?
I will.
No objection? Okay.
Yeah, I
Joe,
just
was
had
that
a question about the basketball court. Because I don't remember approving a basketball court of that character and size.
I don't,
I think
I'm not sure. actually.
my recollection was there was obviously the talk about the basketball. It was a concern to me. I do think we thought it was a smaller half court type thing, but smaller. I guess the baskets, as Colleen described them, are going to be adjustable, so they can go to full height. And being that it's 65 feet, which is like 3/4 of a court can go up to 90. Obviously, you can play full. With two baskets, you can play basically full court basketball. So I guess the concern of recreation, and maybe what ours would be, is it's obviously going to draw larger, older kids as well as adults. And I think there was even talk about would rec have leagues over there, and who would monitor it, who would it be
So,
court
let me
time?
make a suggestion on this, since none of us is really clear about that, and Bob raised some concerns. Why don't we ask Colleen and Terry to come to the next meeting, and let's talk to them about it, and what would be appropriate.
I'm sorry, but I'm the VP of the Woodbridge Land Trust now. And it was the land trust that had to approve the final drawings because we have a GCR on that piece of property, I believe. And we had at least one very in-depth meeting with them, and we did lock down what the plan for that entire playground was. Not just the total area, but what the contents were within that area for each of the pieces of equipment. This is news to me that this has changed, and we were very clear with them that that plan was to be locked down, so I don't want to give anybody apoplexy by stating this, but the Woodbridge Land Trust needs to get back involved in this conversation.
Okay,
And so I'll bring it to Brian Pines.
Thank you. I'd like to suggest that we invite them back, we'll speak to them. If they need to go back to the land trust, they can do that as well.
Yeah, I think
I don't
that's
think
great.
we can
Also,
resolve it without
if they
them.
could bring, I heard Bob mention the request for an accounting, I would call it, but I'd like to see that too, because I remember asking questions that, the grant was $200,000 and that's what it was supposed to cost us. I think there's been additional costs and expenses to the town from what I hear, and I don't want to rely on what I hear, but I think we should have an accounting as to
I'm sure they'll be glad to do that. I'm sure they'd be glad to do that. I'm not aware of any.
I can certainly give you the town's accounting.
No, you don't have to do it right now.
I don't know about, they'd have to give you their accounting.
Yeah, and maybe they've raised some funds. I'm not suggesting foul. I'm suggesting that maybe certain things have gotten beyond what we talked about, and maybe we should rein it back in.
Well, we'll invite them and be sure we can clear that up. Now, on the other issue of the BOA rates, what I'd like to do is make a motion so it's clear that this board agrees with what Bob has proposed. And I said it several times, but I will say it once more. So I'll make the motion that we approve BOA rates for any employee of the Amity School District, Beecher School, or any public elementary school in Orange and Bethany.
Second.
And Bethany, right.
Okay.
Joe, do you want to speak to that?
I second.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it been made and seconded?
It's made and
Okay,
seconded,
discuss.
yeah.
I just want to clarify, does that include families as well, or no? Just the staff, just the employee?
I would assume the employee
I
gets
think
the-
it's probably, I would say it's the family.
If one person signed me.
I don't care, I just wanted to
No, that's good.
clarify.
I would,
Yeah, I would assume
do
they
you want to
get
make a
the
friendly amendment and that it includes,
It
just as
includes
would for
families.
anyone
Yeah,
else, it
for
includes
those
the families.
That's what I understood it to be.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as part of, just a point of discussion, I think we've already said this. I think this is what we approved, so by way of clarification, I'll vote in favor of it, but I think we've already done it.
Well, that's even better.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
For
Okay,
the second time, aye.
thank you. I will now go back and complete my first selection report, and then we can do liaison reports. I am delighted to say that I was able to attend the Tarzan show at Amity High School with my husband Bob. It was so amazing. Lawrence had 2 children in that show. One was unrecognizable from the costume, and one was totally recognizable, and they were great. But the show was just, you can't imagine, if you haven't seen it, the quality of the production and the talent of the kids. I mean, each one would get up, and you think, oh, this kid is so great, it's unbelievable. And then the next one would be just as good again. It was just terrific. Also at Amity High School, they had an event called Charity Champions. One of the clubs in the school decided to raise money for a national anti-substance abuse initiative, and this was part of something that is sponsored by something called Optimum Community. And the students raised quite a bit of money. Optimum contributed an additional $1,000, and for raising the money, the students were able to have a little basketball contest among faculty that they chose, and for every additional amount of money they raised, they could burden that faculty member with something like wearing funny shoes or a little tutu or something. And it was very charming, very nice. The kids loved it. The gym was full, so it was terrific. I also attended the Eva Block Fire Prevention Day. Of course, it commemorates a very tragic and sad event, and the fire department has turned it into something really useful and productive. Each year, it's just incredibly impressive to see the equipment, what they train on, what they do. They had an arson detecting dog that did quite a show. So it was terrific. I was at the Senior Center for St. Patrick's Day. The staff did a terrific job. The meal was wonderful. The spirit was great, and it was well attended. I had my monthly meetings with Mayor Harp and with Terry Gilbertson on our staff. I attended the monthly Massaro Farm board meeting. And Tony and I met with, maybe you were out that day, with Ray Stewart and the representative from Everbridge. I think you weren't here. So Everbridge, that's the reverse 911 system, which was very important to us this winter, and they're doing some upgrades, which they've told us about, and so hopefully we'll be getting those soon. And we also met with representatives of the Cable Advisory Council to talk about ways of enriching programming on the public access channels. So I think that will be important and informative. Then moving to the liaison reports, the Economic Development Commission did not meet this month. I wasn't able to attend the Human Services meeting, but some of the highlights which were communicated to me include a new foreign language course. It's going to be Spanish at the Senior Center, and it will run from May 8th to June 26th for $40 for the entire course. I have a sense that will be well subscribed. And the The Human Services Department is also sponsoring Awareness Week at the middle school in Bethany, and it includes the program by ADL on anti-bullying. So they had a very robust discussion on many topics. It was a very good meeting. So on liaison reports, Tony?
Okay, well, good news for you is Bob Hill stole my thunder. He got most of the points across. I will just tell you a few things else that I picked up. Recreation met on the 23rd. Their next meeting is April 27th. A few points I wanted to make. On May the 3rd, mark your calendars, is the first open house for the pool club. So that they'll start bringing people to see the club and hopefully start adding to the membership roll. Also, just on a note about the club, something that was brought up is they wanted to be sure that all the records and paperwork have been removed or will be removed in time from the upstairs.
I believe they've been.
Just checking on that. And then the last thing, and this is will be a reoccurring theme for a few of my commissions, is there was some talk before and after the meeting about Woodbridge Access TV and PUA, and if their meetings could be recorded or at least filmed, or if there could be, PUA at one point told me that maybe there was possibility of having a camera there and have somebody turn it on, turn it off, and so that commission is wondering if that's possible. It happens to be the same night as CCW, and I think CCW gets recorded, so that's one of the reasons why there's not a recording of it. They meet down at the Beecher Road School, which also creates a little bit of a different venue. Moving on to Coopop. Coopop met on yesterday. Was it yesterday? I'm getting confused. No, the 7th. They met the 7th.
It was yesterday.
Which is yesterday. I know, I go to so many meetings.
You're confusing.
Today, tomorrow, I was there. It was they're short one member, and they are looking for, because of the resignation of Sheila, they're looking forward to filling that commission spot. Due to the fact that Sheila was the chair, they also discussed the officer elections as far as creating a new chair and vice chair, that type of thing. And they, going back to the same theme, would also like to see if they, I guess, were for a while being filmed or recorded. They do meet here, and they were wondering if that would start to happen again, as they fielded some questions about not knowing, things that people can't see on the Access TV. So again, they talked about, could it be possible where the camera is left and someone turns it on, someone turns it off. So that's Coopop, and their next meeting is, I'm a little unclear. They tried to change their schedule like every other month, and they're still figuring out whether or not that makes sense. So that's to be determined. Last one is Conservation. They met on the 19th of March. Their next meeting is the 16th of April. They discussed the June 6th, there's going to be a trail walk, which is going to be held with the Orange Conservation Commission, so it's kind of neat, in the trail that runs between the two towns. And Orange is already off and running with trying to publicize the event, and so they're looking forward to having a nice crowd for that trail walk. Ellen, I know you were there last year when they had a trail walk.
That's great.
And it's really a nice day, so if people can mark their calendars. They discussed a little bit about two properties, one on Park Lane and one on Enoch Road, which we've had discussions about. And they'll plan on having further discussions about what those properties mean to both the town and trails and such. They discussed the further clarification of open space, which in the 10-year plan, I think is actually, there's a comment in it which says it should be further defined. So they discussed possibly trying to get together with Coopop and others such as the Parks Association, Land Trust, Mike Walter, the Trail Master, and maybe coming up with a better definition of open space, because there are different types of open space, and many people in town, for example, the open space, the example they use that the water company holds, which could be developed on some of it, as compared to open space that has a conservation easement, and defining those into smaller sections, because Malone and McBroom used the whole piece, whatever the open space may be, as their percentages, and saying we had 33% open space, but they'd like to see it better defined, as Coopop and others have stated as well. So they're going to be working on that in the future with getting together with some of those. And the last thing is they discussed the possibility of possibly an open space survey being somehow sent to the town members, or allowing town to go online and somehow taking some kind of survey about what people feel open space is or should be.
I believe the South Central Connecticut Regional Council of Governments is looking at that, and that may be something that we can get some help on from them.
Great.
I think Betsy you're going to be our representative, I think, on that.
On the Trails
Trails.
Committee, and
Trails.
I'm not sure how or if they overlap.
I think there's something on open space also, so we'll look at that. Thanks, Tony.
I went to the March 16th Fire Commission meeting. The AMCUS unit failed during an extrication, and they did get replacement, which we did vote for, if you remember. They now have it. Let's see, the chief told the commission that several line items in the budget may be near budget at the end of the fiscal year, but they're watching it all very closely. Hose testing is going to be done in July, so it will be in next year's budget. We talked about at the last meeting, remember they had decided to have the trash emptying twice a week? It's apparently had quite a budget impact in that line item, so they're going to revisit for next year, maybe cutting it down to once a year. Once a week, sorry. Once a year would be dreadful. They're worried about having I guess the Inland Wetlands Commission was worried about having animals dragging trash into the wetlands and that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to mention the gas line item because, Tony, we dealt with it. I guess everything in the building has been converted to natural gas. And there's just a few little minor things they have to do outside, but they had to wait till the snow went away. Apparatus, they had to order new tires for Rescue 1 and Engine 3, even though the tires are perfect. There's a 7-year life, and that's the rules in NFPA standards. So that's been ordered. The only thing that's on the radar right now, the breathing air compressor, which is used to refill those big bottles that they have on their backs, continues to break down, and the vendor has come to fix it a couple times, and they're hoping it'll last, but they may be faced with buying a new one in July. Activity report, 27 calls in January and 27 in February, and the commission thanked the members of the WVFA for the standby that they did during that predicted major blizzard, the one that started it all off, and they provided meals for, I think you mentioned this last month, but it goes without saying again, they provided meals for that 24-hour period for the Public Works and PD as well. Fire Safety Day was wonderful, very well attended. Fire Marshal Capucci has done 111 inspections in 2 months, 2 fire investigations, and he attended training to keep up the required 90 hours per 3 years that he's required to maintain certification. They had an executive session regarding personnel matters and emergency preparedness and response, and the Commission's going to bring it up again on April 20th and talk about some of that again. I could not attend the March 23rd special meeting of Town P&Z. I had a previous commitment. The regular meeting of P&Z Town Plan and Zoning was Monday night, and the Commission held a public hearing regarding a renewal for a special permit for residents' office involving cooking classes for children, and that was reapproved. It's called Kidalicious. I just like to talk about these things because it's kind of fun. Michelle Watchman, she just does cooking classes in her home for kids that are 8 to 12 years old. They did approve that application, and they received 2 other applications, a letter of correspondence, and they were all continued until next month, May 5th. It was a 10-minute meeting. It was amazing. It was like on and it was off. And just to follow up on the Public Works dedication, I did meet with Ellie, and the signs, she approved the signs, and I can pass them around if you want to see them. There's one on the building and one outside, and it's just very loving. So, in memory of Ellie. That's it. That's my whole report. Thank you.
The library is meeting this coming Monday, so there was no meeting between our last meeting, their meeting this coming Monday night, and the police commission met tonight, so I could not go because I was somewhere else. I will be here.
Thank you. Lawrence.
The Inland Wetlands Commission met March 18th and took action on an application that had already been approved by this board. You'll remember when the Boy Scout troop proposed a pavilion on town-owned property known as Camp Whiting, and that has gone through the process now. It went to TP&Z, and March 18th was approved by Inland Wetlands, so that is approved now. That's ready to go. Dr. Stella reported on most important things at the Woodbridge Board of Education meeting, the March version of that. Of interest to me that night, the work that's scheduled for this coming break. 2 weeks from now, the school will be on its spring break. And as Dr. Stella mentioned, they'll be doing a lot of work. It has most of the work to be done has to do with school security, the school security provisions of the project that's underway. So they'll be doing that in 2 weeks. And then the early retirement incentive at the board meeting last month, the 2 faculty retirements were announced. But I didn't know until tonight about the 2 administration retirements. So anyway, that'll be a big change for the district. And the Amity Board of Education has not met since the last time this board met. But I know, I wasn't there, but I know the Amity Board of Ed held a public hearing night before last to allow residents to come and learn more about the proposed budget for FY16. I don't have any feedback about that, but I know they they did that as part of their effort to reach out to the community and explain the budget. So that's it.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Happy birthday. Thank you.
Happy
Oh,
birthday.
Joe, Tony brought you a cake.